What's up, everybody? And we literally just went and picked up what is behind me. This is a 1986 Shamrock keel drive, and it is one of the most unique looking, and I think, honestly, I don't know how many of these are left. You guys are going to tell me out there in the wild, but this has got to be one of the most unique boats that I have ever laid eyes on. I mean, it's a center console with a forward windshield, with a cabin, and check this out. There's no outboard engine back there. This literally has a 351 Ford V8 and straight shaft keel out the back of this boat. That's right. So I'm gonna start fixing this thing up. This is a friend of mine's boat. It's been sitting in his driveway for about 2 years, and he just wants to fix it up, get it back running and driving. I'll flash a picture of what it looks like in good shape. Literally 2 years ago, he had this boat out to sell to somebody, and the transmission slipped. The Borg Warner 1-to-1 velvet drive transmission slipped, so the deal fell through. He tore the transmission out of the boat, and this boat has literally been sitting in his driveway untouched for a couple years. So now it's here at the Boat Restoration by Ben shop, and we are going to clean it up, power wash it, get rid of all this dirt and grime, and get it back to its former glory as the super cool, unique center console that I know that it can be. And like I said, it's his intention to fix it up and then sell it. So, you know, this is the first video. You guys let me know if you're interested in something like this. I know what kind of value he's looking to get out of it, especially once it's cleaned up and running and driving. You know, in perfect condition, these boats are going for over $20,000, but this one isn't going to be perfect by any means, but it will run and drive nicely. So if you guys want first dibs, let us know. Anyway, this is Boat Restoration by Ben. Thank you guys for watching, and here we go. 1986 Shamrock keel drive, and I think they call it something else. It's a built in Cape Coral. Anyway, I'll put the correct title of what this boat's called with its little custom sport windshield in front. But here we go. Let's fix her up and get her back on the water. So I literally just pulled the drain plug because there's a ton of water in it, and I've let it sit here on my hill for about an hour, dry out, and then drain because there was a bunch of water in the bilge. But you see all this nasty mildew and whatnot. If you see the photo of this boat in good shape, you'll see that this all cleans up nicely. So we're actually going to power wash the whole boat. I need to get rid of, and let's see if I can get around here without falling. I need to get rid of all these leaves and dirt before we put it inside, because I do not want to work in a nasty boat environment. It actually doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna have to pull the shop vac out too. Maybe I shop vac up all these leaves first before I go blowing stuff everywhere. But you guys can even see it's got down below here a couple cushions. Man, it's actually really clean in there. Looks like there's a little head. Apparently it's never been used. We'll clean all that stuff out too, vacuum it out. And then here is the center console. So underneath this center console is where our 351 V8 engine sits. So let me move a couple things here. Tilt this back. There you go. little, I don't know if it's a pleasure craft or what, but 351 V8. Oh, I see it over there. Or maybe that's just the survey sticker. Let's take a peek. Anyway, apparently this thing drives fine. Oh yeah, that's just Bayshore. That's a servicing company. It may need new spark plugs, new oil. It's got a little Holley carburetor on it. Apparently it was winterized, it was put away, runs fine. But here is the problem back here. So you can see, I mean, it's just filled with leaves, it's gross and dirty. We're gonna get rid of all this stuff before it goes into the shop. But right here is our transmission oil cooler and our coupler and engine, but there's no transmission. So the transmission's actually been pulled out of the boat and is sitting in the back of my truck bed right now. But apparently the transmission slipped because there is this wall here which holds water and then dips one of the transmission oil seals just in the water all the time. So we're thinking the seal went bad, water was introduced into the transmission. That's what was causing it to slip. We're gonna pull both face plates off the transmission and put new seals in it and fill it up and see if that's actually what the problem was. Lucky for us, I actually have a Borg-Warner 1-to-1 velvet drive transmission sitting in my garage that's probably got 600 hours on it. And that's the transmission that came out of the ski boat. So anyway, if we have to use that, we will. But we're gonna try and use the original one if we can. And I do see this is a pleasure craft marine engine as suspected. So nice little V8. You know, on all these boats today, you're gonna see an outboard engine sitting off the back. No swim platform or anything like that. So that's why these are so unique, is because you get this cool, full wraparound cockpit, no outboard engine on the back. You get your transom back, and then also they sound sweet. This is a, you know, V8 engine that makes probably 250 horsepower straight piped out the back. So all that considered, this thing's going to be a fun boat when it's done. A couple more things about the history of this boat. Apparently it was the tender for a Hatteras Sportfish way back in the day. So all the stringers have been redone, reglassed, and then the hull has been reinforced so it could be towed behind another boat in rough conditions. So from what I understand, it's actually a pretty well-built boat. It's been fixed up. It's just been unfortunately sitting like this for a couple years underneath a tarp. But we all know what happens to boats when they sit for a while and are neglected. They end up looking like this. But a quick wash, vacuum, clean it out, let it dry. We'll pull it inside, and then I'm pretty sure the console is already loose. Yep, so we'll slide that console either forward or backward to get to the engine to work on it without any impediments, and then we'll remove all these floorboards and panels and seats out of the boat so we have some more room to work on it. Drop some info for me in the comments if you guys have been on one of these boats, if you've seen one of these boats before. I'm familiar with Shamrocks. I've actually wanted one for a while, so it's going to be kind of hard not to fall in love with this as I fix it up and get it running again. But I am looking for a Shamrock, so this may not be the right situation to purchase this boat. But anyway, let's get into it. We'll wash the boat up real quick, clean it up, vacuum it, and get it inside. All right, and what better time than now to introduce today's video sponsor, Yard Care. Yard Care sent me this electric cordless leaf blower. Literally turns a turbine in there at 27,000 RPMs. Nice rubber grip, 18 volt lithium battery, comes with the charger. And then check this out, guys. I've never seen this on a leaf blower. It actually has a venturi, and if you're familiar with the technology, that actually draws in air as air passes through this surface and creates more volume of airflow. But check it out, I can either have long mode or short mode for inside the boat here today to get rid of all these leaves. We're going to use short mode, but you know, unique to Yard Care, they actually have a display on their blower itself. Most other blowers don't have that, and they have 5 speeds and a turbo mode to give you extra boost when blowing out the hard stuff. So let's crank this bad boy on and do a little leaf blowing. Thank you, Yard Care. If you guys want to check them out, the link will be in my description to this product. They've got many other electric Yard Care products as well. All right, now let's get back into shop vacuum. I think I've decided we are gonna shop vac in here almost just by itself, get out all that leaves and junk, and then we'll shop vac the rest of the boat out too before I get everything wet with the power washer and get all this nasty mold and mildew and black streaks. Like all of this will clean up with that power washer. Love it. I'm even gonna probably hit these cushions gently and wipe those down, get those cleaned up. I think the biggest parts back here, I've seen pictures where this is just perfectly glossy white, so the goal is to get that back in perfect glossy white condition again. And for now I'm gonna leave it on the hill so everything drains out as we wash. I even got a bucket so I can pick out most of the big stuff. Well, 2 hours of power washing and vacuuming later, and she's actually come a long way. She's not perfect by any means. You guys can kind of see the print through of where it's kind of stained onto the hull. But we are worlds better than we were before. I don't want to hop up there because it's still wet. I know my boots are going to get it dirty, but we got her sprayed out, cleaned out, everything washed and drying. A lot of this teak came back, which is awesome. So that's going to look great in the long run. This hull is chalky. Could use a good buff and wax. I don't know if it'll come back. This boat's not perfect by any means, guys, but it'll look really good from 5 feet for a very long time. And even up here on the deck, we got rid of all that staining and nastiness. Again, it's just drying out right now. Even down below, big wide open clean space now. But I'm going to leave it for the meantime. Get you guys a few more shots of it. Again, not perfect. Some of those leaves stained the gel coat, but I really did clean out the bilge, especially in the back. Once it all dries out, I'll vacuum up any leftover stuff. But that's a great start. Let's let her dry and probably leave it out here for a couple hours before I go ahead and back it into the shop. Even was able to get rid of a lot of the rust on the flywheel. Yeah. And there's that transmission sitting in the back of the truck here. It's pretty rusty, but it does turn over. So all that's fine. I know it's empty right now. So I don't know why it was slipping. Maybe it's just because water got in there. But anyway, we're gonna pull these two face plates off, one here and then one on the back, and just check things out, replace the seals, see what's going on. I'm hoping it's just seals and some new fluid and this thing won't slip anymore, but we might have to replace some clutches or something like that. And then these I kind of hit with the power washer. They're not perfect by any means, but I can wipe those down later with some heavy duty cleaner. These are just some old life jackets. I'll probably just throw those away. It looks like we got a couple cushions too in there. And then our transmission, I hit that real quick. You know, it's not gonna clean it up like crazy, but at least knock off all the grit and dirt that's on there so we can tear it apart and not just get disgusting. Same with the engine mounts. So we are gonna slide it right here in Bay 2, right in this area, and this is where we'll do a quick run through on the engine. We'll rebuild the transmission first, put new seals in it, new fluids, all that. Worst case scenario, if that doesn't work, it wouldn't be the end of the world pulling it back out of the boat and putting in my transmission. But the owner wants to try his first with some new seals, which is totally fine with me. I'm just thrilled with how unique it is. Totally 80s Shamrock. All right, I'll get it into the shop here, and then we'll get tearing into the transmission. Look, need like 3 more feet, and then I'm in. I just don't know how you can't not like that sound. Oh man. All right, I almost hit the Bronco. That's all right. We got a little room to spare. I got a little room between my workbench and here, and then plenty of room between the Wellcraft and that guy. So that'll be good. If I need to reposition, I can, but that should be fine for now. I'll fold the Bimini down. I just had it up for power washing, but we'll block her right there and call it a day. So I misspoke earlier. That is a Ford 302 V8, and it is a pleasure craft still, but it was replaced in 2019 apparently, or rebuilt or something along those lines. So kind of surprising that that was redone and this transmission has a problem. But I mean, clearly, yeah, clearly this is the OG transmission. And I need to figure out if my ski boat transmission, oh yeah, it's the exact same transmission, 1017004. So I'm gonna actually recommend I buy a kit and rebuild this, and I just put my ski boat transmission and transmission cooler straight into this boat. So instead of having to rebuild a transmission just for the boat, I'll do it anyway so you guys can see the Borg Warner transmission rebuild. But I need to use up my transmission, and it does me no good just sitting in the shop floor. And I think, like I said already, my transmission only has like 600 hours on it. I don't know how many hours are on this boat, but I would guess it's probably about the same, or maybe a little less. All right, well, we got her on the bench here. I put her in a little bit of a drip tray, and then I pulled off the transmission cooler line that was cut. But I'm gonna pull this front cover off. So again, just so you guys can see, what we're thinking is that there's an issue with some stringers, not stringers, but a limber hole where this transmission sits. So water just sits there and it never drains out of it. So what the owner thinks is that the seals failed. Water got inside the transmission because this thing sat submerged. And then transmission oil and water mixed together, which then has caused the transmission to slip. You guys can see here, I mean, when I spin the one end, it still actuates the other. That doesn't mean anything. But again, this thing's never been beat, and it was never ran like that until they noticed it slip once, and then it sat out of the water for the last several years. So let's pull this front cover off, see what we can find in regards to possible water intrusion issues. And at the very least, we're gonna buy a new seal kit and rebuild. This whole thing smells like straight up gear oil. Alright, those four are out. So that cover plate should just pop off. Let's give it a little tappy tap. Alrighty, so I actually got the pump cover loose. I just want to note for you guys, rotation is important on these, so I actually marked 2 spots. So when this thing goes back together, I put 2 dowel marks, but these 2 dowel marks here need to line up so we make sure that the pump is rotating in the right direction. So anyway, now that this is off, we can see, make sure there's no crazy grooves. But again, here's another seal that probably dried out and failed. So we'll be replacing that seal, replacing the inner gasket seal here. And you can even see there's some rust and corrosion. So I need to spray that and clean this all up. But all in all, this thing feels pretty solid. I'm not noticing any crazy scoring or anything like that. So that's good. We're gonna leave that be. Yeah, definitely clean the heck out of this. Inside it looks good, outside, I mean, you can just tell it's milky. The water got in there for sure. Got it. Oh. I was gonna say I need a gear puller, but apparently I don't. The thing popped right out. And that seal pops right out, guys. Look at that. I mean, it's not like the seal looks bad. I mean, maybe it just... Yeah, I mean, maybe it just sat and water got in there. I mean, this thing looks really clean. The bearings and everything. I mean, some part of me thinks the slippage was just bad fluid and whatnot inside. I'm gonna put that seal back for the meantime, just so that's not exposed, but we'll definitely replace that seal. I mean, our shaft seal may not be the culprit, guys. It could just be this paper gasket that was on the back side of this here that holds in the bearing race. So honestly, we'll clean this up. We'll replace this seal. We'll replace the shaft seals on both sides, and then refill this thing and flush it. I think she'll be mint. There's no fluid in it right now. She'll be mint. Let's tip her upside down, and if there is any fluid in there, it'll come out while it's sitting. Well, in the meantime, while we wait for this gasket kit to arrive, gasket and seal kit, I need to make sure this boat runs and drives. So we're gonna tune up the engine. I'm hoping there's not a whole lot of issues in regards to fire up, and we are gonna use my 700 12-volt starting battery here, just to hook up to this guy and see if we can get it to turn over, and then I'll pull it outside, hook it up to some water, and we'll see if she fires up. Main intention, I just checked the oil. It actually looks really clean and smells good. You see, this is just it's a 2-barrel. It's a 2-barrel poly carb on this 302. I don't even know if they tell you what kind of power levels it makes. Not really. But anyway, let's hook this battery up, see if the fuel pump fires up, see if we get ignition, and get some noise out of this little rowdy craft. So one thing I am taking off my velvet drive transmission is the transmission oil cooler. So theirs is, he had some cut lines and a little bit different hoses. So I'm actually removing those. I'm gonna keep this cooler, but ditch these lines, and then I'll just throw mine in with my fittings directly onto the transmission here. So I'm gonna leave things loose for the meantime. I am gonna mock that one up in the boat for right now, but I will have to pull these fittings off of here. So a little bit of swap work in the meantime, but this is a perfectly good transmission cooler. Get rid of this one here. All right, I got my fittings swapped onto this transmission. All that's looking good. And then we just ordered a bunch of parts that I know we're gonna need. So we're getting a new trim pump, so a new Bennett trim pump for the back, so that'll get swapped out here and then get remounted. I think I gotta run a new ground wire for it back here, which is fine and easy. Determined that this Carter electric 12-volt fuel pump is seized up, so we're just gonna go ahead and put a new Carter fuel pump on there. So I got that ordered. Oh, and let's see, hooked up a battery. I got 2 batteries on the way. They actually mount up here on a shelf, but I did just check. I don't have the key. The key will be here later today or tomorrow. But let's see, we got all of our accessories working. We got our Garmin chart plotter working. We got our nav lights and everything working. Bilge pump, auto manual blower, good to go. I'll rerun the blue blower hose down through there and back into the engine compartment that's hanging up on the front of the trailer. And then there you go, 12 volts. This is not the battery that'll go in here. This is just my test battery for right now. But let's see, I'm gonna turn this off, turn off the accessory switch, and then cut my batteries off here. There's a battery switch down there. So now nothing should work. Yeah, everything's off minus the bilge pump. So good to go. So we got a few things ordered. Now it is hurry up and wait. Oh, this was the last thing I wanted to show you guys. So my transmission cooler is 1.25" lines, and these are only inch lines. So I ordered 1.25" hose for the strainer. So we're gonna do some cutting and then put new hose in here so we can get that transmission oil cooler rigged up properly. And then I just sprayed everything else with a bunch of solutions to get rid of some of this rust and keep things nice and freed up. So this is where we sit right now. We're gonna leave it be in the meantime, and we'll cut back when we have some parts to actually swap out and install. All right, adapted hose is in, hooked up to our transmission cooler adapter into the 1-inch pipe, and we are good to go. I'll probably secure this up with a mount so it's not just hanging there loose. But now let's go up and install that fuel pump. All right. Oh, this thing's been in here for a while. Got the old fuel hose. It smells like fuel. Yeah, I mean, our pump itself isn't terrible, but I'm sure just because of the old motor, whatever, getting seized up. Let me get these old lines off and see what kind of fittings we have here. And there's the new one compared to the old one. This literally looks like the exact same fuel pump, and we got in and we got out. Positives purple, negatives green. All right. Can't even get this off without damaging myself. And I gotta remove this old plate that holds it on here. Shaboom! New fuel pump is in, hooked up. Wires are reconnected. Look at that. That thing is pretty. Pretty and brand spanking new with the original fuel lines. So, gotta love that. All right, next step is I got a shelf coming for the batteries. We've got trim pump on its way still waiting on that. I guess I can go ahead and fix this ground connection, which bolts onto that trim pump assembly that broke off, but I may just wait for the time being. Look at that, just as we finish up one thing, we get more parts. So we got our transmission rebuild, gasket and seal kit. So now we can put this transmission back together and give it a good flush. Let's tackle that now. So I have an inkling suspicion that the transmission cooler likely failed, or one of these gaskets failed like we were talking about earlier, causing water to get into the fluid, which then caused the transmission to slip. Because this thing doesn't have a lot of hours on it and is really solid inside. So anyway, we're gonna replace the key gaskets here that we took apart. So we've got our rear coupler gasket faceplate. We're going to use some Black Magic on it as well, just to make sure it's nice and gooped up. We've got our, let's see, new O-ring for our back or our front gasket plate, so that'll go in there as well. And then of course our two new seals, which are right here in this baggie. Those will both be replaced as well. So, quick seal rebuild, and we'll be right back on track. All right, we got her punctured. We're gonna goop her up. Oh man, she's punctured in a couple spots. Uh-oh. Went right on through, that's right. Time to get messy. Boom. Time to get messy. We're just gonna coat it on both sides here, because that's how we like it. We do not need any leakage out of this old girl. Not the most conventional way, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Come back and torque them up later. Boom. 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 All right. So there we go, guys. We got the new faceplate on. Oh, let me see here. With our new, let's see, is this in gear, out of gear? I may be. Ah, there we go. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Yes, there's our new seal inside there. New gasket around that. Same on the back side. Everything's looking good. There, I like it. I like it. Boom. And I got my new fittings from my transmission on here. So now, I think we can lift this guy up. Well, I'm gonna flush it once. Then we're gonna put new fluid in it, lift this guy up, and pop him back into the Shamrock. All right, transmission is back together, ready to go into the boat, but I'm not gonna lift that in there until I have my gantry assembled, which right now, I'm waiting on a better set of cutting drill bits because this stuff is thick. So anyway, once I get some more drill bits, I've kind of ate up what I have. I'll finish the I-beam, finish putting together my gantry, and then I'll be able to use that for the Shamrock transmission. So that's all ready to go. Everything's prepped inside. I'll just slide the console forward again, and then I'll be able to drop it right in there and fit it into place. So we'll wait for that to happen. In the meantime, if you guys haven't checked it out already, we got a bunch of merchandise, so go to our shop on YouTube. You can also check out our store on boatrestorationbyben.com. Super cool hats like this, t-shirts, cups, mugs, you name it, even stuff for your dog. Go check it out. So, check it guys, I just put 2 new connectors on our transmission, neutral shift lockout, and then connected those together temporarily since obviously there's no transmission in here right now. I disconnected our buzzer, and then look. Boom, we got power, and yeah, things are a little dead. But I did find out that the fuel pressure pump will not actuate. It's on this little pressure reservoir that's sitting off of the oil pressure sensor. So until it senses oil pressure, it will not kick the fuel pump on, which then tells me that this is completely dry up here. So there's gonna be no fuel. And I did just check to see if this wire leading from the carb here, which is teed into another wire, has 12 volts, and it does, down to our pressure regulator, which then goes to our fuel pump. It does have 12 volts. but it's not sending 12 volts to the fuel pump until it senses oil pressure, which is pretty interesting. So basically, hey, we're not going to let the engine run if it senses low oil pressure. So anyway, I need batteries now. So I'm gonna go get some official batteries for this thing, get those in the boat. That way I don't have to use my 5-year-old garage battery that's just been sitting. Well, while we wait for a few more parts, part of our problem with water retention was this wall right here. There's actually like a 3-inch dam, and there's no limber holes through that from this center compartment here. So we're actually going to drill 2 holes in this center on either side and glass in a piece of like 5/8 inch G10. So it's got a couple spots where it can drain and water doesn't just pool up in this area, which tends to be the center lowest part of the boat. And on a boat like this, the bilge pump's actually up forward. So that water theoretically should get drained by the bilge pump, but when this hits in the water, this is lower than the bilge pump. So this will help us move that water to the back of the boat, as well as let water flow forward to the front of the boat. All right, there you go. We got our 2 holes drilled, one there, and now we're gonna cut, I don't know, I think like 1.5 inch pieces of G10, glass those in there. Well, we got our 2 pieces of 1.5 inch G10 cut up. We got our West Systems with the thickener already in it. We'll add the hardener when we get up in the boat. But now we're gonna mix this up, mix in the hardener, goop these up and slide them right in. Luckily for us, the coring material on this boat, at least what I drilled through, was synthetic, so that's awesome. If you had wood, I'd be a little more concerned about sealing it up, but since it's synthetic, I mean, we're still gonna seal it up super well. But just saying, the fact that it's synthetic coring is better than wood coring. All right, the G10 has been glassed into place. Let that kick up. You guys want to see some sketchy stuff right here. Look at this. I got the gantry built and bolted in, all the holes drilled, but my bucket does not go high enough to get it over center. So anyway, it's sitting like that on both sides. And I've thought everything through, and my conclusion is that use the gantry's 2-ton chain hoist hung from a support for my trusses for my shop and hoist it up that way. Can't make this stuff up. Don't try this at home. That's money, dude. Oh man, guys. Well, that was as sketchy as it gets, but we done did it. Thank you, truss. Thank you, 2-ton hoist. We have a gantry. Now we need to lift this thing up as high as it goes. So I gotta install these little flappers down here that like allows you to ratchet it up one at a time. So we're gonna do that. This is sweet. And do pull-ups from this thing. Heck yeah, man. I love it. Well, there you go. That's how we're gonna leave her for right now. It's nice these casters roll easily, but I'm leaving it here because I gotta add transmission fluid to it at some point. And hey, guess what? It doesn't like anything that's raised, so it did not like that floor mat. But oh well, we'll clean up and we'll get back to this jalopy mañana when I have some batteries. Okay, well, let's see. A few things have happened since we last checked in. The gantry worked like, I mean, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Slid the transmission up, straight over, across the bar, and then straight down and in. I didn't even have to muscle this thing in place. Literally dropped it in with the chain hoist, was able to put pressure, relieve pressure, and then slide it right onto the dowel pins that were already attached to the flywheel housing. So pretty sweet. Great first use of the gantry, and I'm sure you'll come in handy many more times in the future. But anyway, where are we at and what do we need to do? We are on the verge of being complete with this. I need to couple my prop shaft with my transmission. However, I put the transmission exactly in how it was before, and it is a little high. I don't like how much it torques the prop shaft when it's connected. So I'm gonna look if it's contacting something or if there's an issue with the physical alignment of the transmission. I may have to drop my mounts down slightly to get that transmission to line up with the prop shaft, because we don't want any resistance on this prop shaft. This should be able to spin freely. No problem when the prop shaft is connected. After that, I've got brand new batteries, so we're gonna put our battery tray in right here. Batteries will sit on top of that. We'll wire up our lines for the battery cables. I got a crossover. There's two batteries, a start battery and a dual purpose battery. And then at that stage, I think I gotta find where these freeze plugs go. But at that stage, we should be able to roll her outside, hook her up to the hose, and turn her over, see if we can fire up. Oh, I am going to prime the fuel system. So I think we talked about it, but that oil pressure regulator, or whatever, it's like a relay or a solenoid. It has to sense oil pressure to kick on the fuel pump. And I know there hasn't been fuel up in this line for a couple years, so I need to manually pump fuel up into the carburetor so it's primed. So what I'm going to do is actually hook up these two lines here to a 12-volt source, prime the pump, get fuel into the carb, and then we'll be ready to fire up. So approaching completion to the mechanical side of the Shamrock. It hasn't been too bad of a project by any means, but hopefully have this guy running today. It's a Friday, so I want this completed. Oh, and I also I'm gonna swap my fuel filter, and I put in the new trim pump reservoir, which is apparently just sitting here loose. I'm not sure why. This might actually sit back there and get strapped in. I'll have to ask the owner if there's some sort of straps or something like that for it. But anyway, I'll fill that up with fluid. I still need to fill up the transmission with fluid. I hooked up my two lines from my transmission cooler right here. So those are all good to go. And I hooked up my shifter as well. So we're looking good. Almost there. Well, an interesting thing came up when I coupled the transmission to the prop shaft. I really had to crank on this prop shaft to get it up to the transmission. And it's, I mean, I could just tell transmission was way higher than the prop shaft. But it led me to believe that I needed to adjust the engine and transmission level. So I actually went and snagged the handy dandy gantry, came forward. I loosened the top 2 bolts, or the nuts on the engine mounts for the engine, and I actually lifted it up about an inch, which then dropped the transmission, pivoted the transmission down ever so slightly. So before, the thing was just solid, wouldn't even move. I honestly think that's probably what led to the prop shaft seal, not prop shaft seal, but transmission seals and transmission issues in the first place. So now this spins freely by hand. I'm pretty happy with it. I've gone up and down a few times, but I'm gonna leave that as it is, because I'm happy with how that's sitting. But now I need to crank up the 2 nuts that are on the bottom side of the engine mounts, and that way the engine sits on those 2 nuts and it can't drop back down. So I'm gonna tighten those 2 nuts up. You guys can see here, I've got nth and an eighth impact there, and then an nth and an inch and an eighth wrench. I'm just gonna come in here and hopefully that bottom nut twists up pretty easily once I break it loose. But thank you again. I mean, I would never be able to do this without the gantry, so this has been a great tool to have already. I lifted the whole engine up, guys, because I needed to get to these lower nuts for the mount adjustments. There was just no way to get a wrench in there. So again, gantry came in handy, and I had plenty of room at back to pivot on the transmission mounts. But one little turn at a time, we're gonna bring those up about an inch and then set the whole engine back down so it's at its proper angle in the boat. These engines sit at an angle in the boat no matter what, like old ski boats, all that. All right, I got them both finger loose so I can sit here and adjust as I bring the engine back down. But I think I got them where I want them. We're gonna set it down, reconnect the coupler out back, and see if that lines up nicely. But yeah, here's this one finger loose as well. But man, I don't know how I would have done that again without the gantry. So let's take her down here. Just gotta line my pins up. Should fall right on those pins. I might have to persuade it just a touch. That was a lot of up and down, but I'm really happy with how that turned out. I'm glad I did it too, because I really do think that was the source of a lot of our problems. But engine's back in place, mounts are tightened up. All right, good to go. Little side battle, but that's always the case when you're messing with old boats like this. Home stretch here. We got some transmission fluid, adding 2 quarts, Dextron 3, and we just swapped out our fuel filter back there with some fresh fuel. So everything's looking good. Once I get this filled, I'll screw down the battery tray and then put my 2 new batteries in, and then we'll see if this old Shamrock will fire up. Well, just got the batteries in and hooked up. That is not a great design. It's really tight, but anyway, it is hooked up, and then I just used the old 12-volt battery trick with a couple wires to prime our fuel pump, since it doesn't kick on until it senses oil pressure. So I primed our fuel pump for about, I don't know, 45 seconds. I could hear fuel going up into the carburetor. So let's give it a couple pumps. See if we don't get any ignition on this bad girl. Let's see here, battery switch. That should be all on. It's a little dusty. We got good crankage. Let's give it a couple pumps. Woo! It's alive. Okay. Well, we're gonna leave her be until I can get her out and get a hose on it and actually run this girl, just to be safe. All right, up the hill and out. I'm gonna leave her here for right now until we're gonna go ramp test her here, I think in a day or two, but I still got to put everything back together. We're gonna hook the hose up to it out here. I want to do this outside so it's not getting a bunch of water inside the shop. We'll leave this be for right now. Get the hose set up, get that bilge blower hose back in place, and then reassemble all the floorboards as long as I'm happy with fluid levels, transmission shifting in and out of gear, and then I was messing with our trim pump the other evening and getting those actuators working properly. I think we have a little more bleeding to do, but I can confirm that they do actuate. And then check this out, check the prop out. Ready? Nice, smooth, easy turnover. Before that was not the case, so that makes me really happy. And then our rudder, of course. So, all right, let's get the hose hooked up and see if this thing will fire over. I'm excited to hear what this 302 Ford sounds like, straight piped out the back with the two flappers. All right, well, that's gonna be our method. I'm on a bit of a hill, so water's draining out the back plug, but let's get this. Oh, I locked it. Get this battery switch on. We'll go to all. Ignition. We got voltage. Pump it a couple times and let's set you guys up out back. All right. And it's sucking water. That's way too easy. I got the drain plugs in. I found out where those are. Stand by. As you can imagine, this thing's been sitting for a while, so things are a little rusty. Oh, a drain plug. This one's all the way back in the back. Definitely 9/16. Good thing I brought it with me. Let's try this again. Drain plug, or I should call them freeze plugs, I guess. All right. Freeze plugs are in. One of them was pretty rusty. Really happy to have this bimini, you know? All right, let's try and evacuate some of this lake. Here we go. Oh, a little more throttle. Go check if my oil pump's running. We have oil pressure. Oh, I heard the fuel pump. I think we're dealing with a I hear the fuel pump running. Come on, baby. Need some fuel. Come on, babe. I do believe it is a fueling issue, so stand by. All right, yeah, it's a fuel problem. We need, our bowl is dry. So we need to verify when it fires up next time after I prime it, using this, that the fuel pump's working the right way. I may be flipped on my wires, so let's flip them here. See if that helps the issue. Positive and negative. You know what I mean? Ugh. All right. Very dry. Let's let me do a self-priming and I'll let you know. Oh yeah, there we go. Now that sounded like fuel and it smelled like fuel. So positive, which is our purple wire, is on the left here. Negative is our green wire, which is on the right. I could even hear the pump kick over and prime. So, all right, that should be better, but let's see if that pump kicks on once we start running here, or if it's just gonna run the bowl out of fuel on the carb. Yeah, see, we just need some fuel. Let's see if that pump's running. Sounds like it's running. Boy, it sounds really smooth. It feels like it's running, so, oh yeah. It's getting fuel. Go check water flow. Got water flow. Oh, good idle too. Reverse. Yep. Forward. Oh yeah. Prop shaft is looking good too. Look at that, guys. Reverse. Forward. We need to go check our cutlass bearing and see how it's doing. That's a smooth shift. I like that a lot. See how our transmission fluid is. Looking good. Probably have a little bit too much in there. We'll watch these fittings as it fills up. Oh yeah. Looking good. Strong oil pressure. Good voltage. Our RPM gauge doesn't work, which is a bummer. Gonna have to get that fixed. Now she's happy. Oh yeah. Very happy. I like it. Need to see about our shaft seal though. I know they don't like to be ran when they're out of water, but that's a great sounding motor. Really. All right, there you have it. We've proved that it lives. The 1986 Shamrock 20-foot Conwalk with a keel drive 302 Ford V8. Fired right up. As soon as it had fuel, boom, fired right up, pumped water. Great boat. So, that's all for today. If you guys want to see if this thing actually runs and drives on the water, you're gonna have to tune in for the next video. And guess what? This boat is for sale. So the owner and I are asking $10,000 for the boat. If you guys are interested, drop a comment, shoot me an email. This boat needs to go bye-bye, but I'm so happy to have the opportunity to have fixed up my first Shamrock, and a very unique one at that. So if you guys are interested, we got a little more cleaning and tightening up to do on this boat, but shoot me a comment. This thing will be for sale. And you just saw all the work we did to it. Nice, good tune-up to the boat. Got it running and driving again, and we're gonna take the boat out on the water in the next video, talk some more about the boat, and make sure everything is in tip-top shape for you, the next owner. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching. As always, this is Boat Restoration by Ben, and we will see you next time.